Good morning. All right, the big news is out, and NVIDIA is above resistance. What does that mean? Well, we have to put together the other concepts. What is the potential? Multiple time frames. What is it communicating to us? And as we do that, it communicates it's going to go higher, right? It's going to go higher. It whipped up on the earnings. It came back down. It came back up. You can see where my cursor is on the daily chart, on the weekly chart. And so unless it goes back down inside the base, which no one knows if that's going to happen or not. The assumption is it's going to go up. It'll probably stall at $200. You can look at the option table to see if there's a large amount of call options and open interest there. There probably is. I haven't looked, but it usually is. You look to the left, just like as if you looked at a moving average. You look to the left to see if it's lined up with any support or resistance. How significant is it? Of course, how do you determine that? But you do determine that with systematic objective method. And we look at something like this and say, you know what? There's hardly any type of resistance there. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of option activity because there always is around a whole number. And this is a very actively traded stock. But at the moment, while it's sloppy as hell, like many things, this pattern says it's going higher, black and white. All right. Where do we go from here? Well, as I said yesterday, we look at the sector, we look at underperformers within the sector. So we look at SMHs, you could look at what is it, XSD, new all-time highs. This sector is loved, right? You can say it's still the future of AI. There's going to be winners and losers, of course. We know right now software companies are the big losers and jobs related to that. That's the sector right here. But I mentioned this early in the week. I talked about this exact event happening in the weekend letter. That if this turns around, this breakdown has a breakdown, and it turns all the way back up again, it's still in a downtrend, but put on a partial position. And so we can look at that on the weekly time frame, do the same thing, and we look over to the left and look at how it's forming a bottoming tail bar. Look, all these pivots down here. Right? You could go through all kinds of esoteric analysis with Elliott wave counts and DeMark indicators and who knows what else craziness is out there. Or you can just simply look to the left and see where buyers were before. So is this going to rip higher through this resistance? I don't know, but it's a hell of a good start to consider a position here in these in this sector. I think the ETF is probably the better way to go when you start out doing a counter trend trade. And thought, yes, Brownie. Um, and so as counter trend trades, we know that we're going against the trend. It was, and you thought of you woke up and you thought you were at MT Live and loved it. Wow, that's amazing. Well, you're dreaming about the markets and trading. That's a wonderful thing. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. All right. So this is the beginnings of a turn. Right? Will it go all the way up here? I have no idea. It's got a pivot to deal with right there. But situations like this, well, Brownie, uh, go to the bar by bar page on mastertrader.com, click on the checkout, and type in the word candles. It's your day. And you will see an amazing price for the course. By the way, well, you should attend Dan's course, not course, but presentation he's doing today. The candle thing isn't in that presentation. I mean, as far as the offer, but Dan's doing a presentation today on 1, 2, 3 patterns, which everyone should, even if you're in the green room today or whatever you're doing, just register and that you're going to get the recording. All right. So this is beginning to make a bottom. This is how bottoms start. Yes, there's a discount. As I said, type in the word candles at the checkout. Okay, so let's get to the broader markets and where they are at. And so it's still a giant mess, right? Nothing has changed. Big trading range since the end of last year. Reversal here, bear sandwich, up, down. We talked about voids and reversals. Gap up yesterday, moved up a bit. Where prices here, they're up a little higher. And go to the top of the range. Can they get through the top of the range? Every time it gets there, it gets turned back down again. So the only thing that has changed, and I don't have the chart readily available right now because I don't have that platform open, but I told you what did change that was supportive that possibly it could go back up there was that sentiment changed significantly over the last week or so, where there was a large amount of put buying. They finally, from way here, where they were continuing buying calls, down here, they finally started buying an overwhelming amount of put options. And that was supportive that this should be able to hold. But it wasn't easy, with this whips ups and down. And so we continue to monitor that. When it gets up here, the expectation is it's going to find a bunch of sellers. Okay. So we'll watch the option activity when it gets there. All right. SPX. Right. The numbers changed significantly from yesterday. Put strike came way up. It's over here. And can it get to the top of the range today? Is that in the cards? I think of course, it's possible. We have to monitor that as the day begins. I'm going to look through the other sectors to see what they're doing. But it's just reasonable for us to think that since this was an igniting bar out of a consolidation, a whippy consolidation, and it's whippy. It's not like this thing is tightened up. And that's one of the attributes of what we look for in patterns that tell us it's time to act now. And I'm creating a list pre-market here to talk in the green room. So those of you in the green room, if you have your lunch at your desk, get a coffee or a soda, or don't drink soda, but whatever. We're going to have a discussion on pattern recognition and putting together concepts. Okay, so I think it can go up there today. Why? Because it's got a void. Look, now it's got these pivots up here. It'll probably stall. One of the things that we'll look for in the S&Ps is where's the high volume strike. Now you can see the call strike, the extreme went up above 7,000 because of yesterday's move up. So they're betting it's going to go up there today. The extremes, let's just spitball it. 98, 99% of the time, prices never get to these extreme levels. When they do, they do. But you get a heads up as prices are trading during the trading day, if that's a possibility. We look at advancers minus decliners, a number like this to see where it's at, how strong or weak is it. But is it going down there today? No, unless some news comes out that is unexpected. So, but right now, I think it's possible it can try and get up toward that level. Okay, other markets. Qs should be up a little bit, I think. You can see they were higher. They gapped up to that pivot high right there. You got a declining 50 MA, which is right into like a peekaboo above that. It's right at yesterday's high, essentially unchanged, give or take a little bit. You got some congestion there, but look at the size of the void here. What the ideal scenario, we don't always get the ideal. And this is part of what I want to talk about today in the room. As we see prices moving, like yesterday morning, I saw prices were coming down. Right? You may have seen the video I posted about the IWM trade, and prices are coming down. And I want to short that. Why? Because it's going down. But it's going down with such momentum on the cues that it doesn't give an entry point. And so what I have to do is sit there and do nothing, frustrated. But I know when it gets down to that level, there's going to be buyers there. That's my assumption. Now I have to wait for a pattern. There's more waiting, more waiting. I apply bar by bar analysis. Finally, it starts to shape up. That's great. Some days it doesn't shape up. It doesn't get down to where you think. It stops before that. It forms some other pattern. It doesn't do what you want it to do. That's trading, right? So anyway, we'll talk about that. So this has lots of potential to go up. I don't know if it's in the cards today, but you can see here's the void concept. It's at resistance. If it can form a desirable pattern, this is something that I'm interested in. So if semiconductors can stay strong, if NVDA starts going up, if I see other stocks that would be supportive of that, or just looking at the cues to see what kind of pattern they form. Right now, they're just marking time here, doing nothing. All right. IWM, not a desirable pattern, right? It's got a breakdown failure, major support. It's at resistance. I need some kind of a correction bar. I need something to make me think I would want to do something with that. This is getting there. It's not clean enough. It's not tight enough. You've got topping tails here and there. Um, it's just not ready for prime time. Let's just call it that. It's my opinion. Um, let's look at where is it on the list? KRE, which was one of the best looking things, and then look at what happened. Right? And now it's rebuilding again. So, it violated this buy setup and it comes back down and now it's trying to rebuild. You look at the weekly chart, it's just not ready. It needs more time. And we talked about XLF yesterday. And I said, if the market's going to go up, it would be great if the financials would bring up the rear. And that's exactly what they did. They're still in a downtrend, but the way it came down, coming down into here, it's like, okay, if this happens, it supports something else. If financials go up, it's one piece that helps support the S&Ps going up and the broader markets having some stability. Right. Bitcoin, nice reversal day yesterday. Another signs of a bottom. Right. Wide range bar forms a pivot. We talked about this coiling. It breaks down. It's not a 180 as we define it. Candlestick patterns, it's got some fancy name like a morning star or some kind of magic pattern. It went down and it came right back up again with a wide range bar. Right now it's consolidating. So far that's bullish. It's forming a bottom. You got a declining 20 MA. You've got a pivot over there. I would just say it's in development mode, but it's got a strong sign of making a bottom. Look at the way it came down on here on the weekly time frame. Stabilization. It's beginning to form what we call a breakdown failure pattern. It probably needs to consolidate a little bit. Now, here's a concept when we look at things as a visual aid. Sometimes patterns go sideways long enough to where the 20 MA curls down underneath the prices. That creates a picture that we recognize. Not that we need the 20 MA, but it creates a picture that we recognize as it's consolidating long enough for the moving average to catch up. And now you see the 50 up here, and through the visual aids, the moving averages, you're recognizing the void concept with subjective pieces of information. Right? Whereas here's the 20 MA, it's lined up with that high right there. This is likely to struggle here for a little while. But based on this pattern, it's unlikely, right? I could put that in quotes, unlikely to come all the way back down here. So you need to be patient with this, I think. Erythium, nice wide range bar, declining 20 MA. It's at resistance. Let's see if it forms a 1, 2, 3 or some other pattern supporting that it's going to go higher. Oil is down a little bit. Right? Whippy uptrend, no interest. Gold, this is forming another buy setup. Now, it's a buy setup away from the 20, okay? But you've got a red bar ignored type of a pattern. Up, red, green. It's forming a consolidation above this bar, higher. If it comes all the way back down here and closes down there, we say, hey, it's like the S&P 500. It's just a giant mess, okay? But what if it breaks below these lows and forms a bottoming tail bar? Go to the ATM, get some cash, put in your brokerage account, and buy. I'm kidding. I'm just saying that if we were to get a correction bar here, that would be it's supportive in alignment with this big picture. And the only thing left to do would be to buy or add, looking for it to go higher into the void. Okay. Another couple of things that I'm handing over to Dan. Silver looks good, was down. Can it get above the highs? It's just doing nothing here at the moment. And other than that, I think just take a peek at interest rates, and then I'm handing it over to Dan. And, looks like these are bond prices. They're consolidating at this pivot. And interest rates have come down a lot. Bonds are at resistance. Probably not going to get much action there. All yours, Dan.
Well, big excitement from the video didn't do anything. The people who sold options are happy. The ones that bought expecting a big move are not. Because the vol contraction is going to eat up their premium. We have one alarm going on. Not the alpha, AU. The gold stock we're in gapping down, but we only have a third left. This thing, it's a beautiful explosion there. F1. That was a buy setup after breakout. That was an earnings trade, but this was one of my favorite setups to trade today if it opened flat. But now the gap's messing it up. XZO. Potential bottoming pattern. See it gapping up here. So we'll maybe 30-minute high, directional, and or put spread. See. Oh. And that's it on alarms. Pretty quiet. There was a ton of earnings, and I, as always, went through them already and deleted a bunch of them. Well, here's actually a few leftovers from yesterday. Let me do that first. Schwab, I like. It got killed on the AI thing, new low reversal, closing breakout, bullish weekly. In the second alarm, 95.70. It looks like a magnet to head on up to the 20 MA. And I like that it's gapping down a little bit because then it won't trigger unless it takes out yesterday's high. So 95.60. And I checked puts and spread. There was not enough premium EHC buy setup. Let's set the alarm at 106.50. CNK, another view. That's a nice buy setup after gap reversal breakout. Opening down a few pennies. So alarm 2608. That one's ready to go. That I like. So got my alarm. Give me time to post it. Which of these bars is higher? 2617, 2620. So when they're close like that, when you have a buy setup, I always go to the higher one. You know what? I'm just gonna post this right now. I'll do it quick. Oh, Cinemark. This is the movie theater competitor with AMC. CNK buy over 2820. Stop under 28. Give it a little. Was that good enough? No, I mean stop under 25. All right. X Pro. Had this igniting bar. It's just chopping around here. I'm still watching it. It's not ready. Pelletier's trying to bottom. Let me set a new alarm at 135. I looked at put spread yesterday. You would have had to go out 9 days, and that's just to get 40 cents. So I wasn't crazy about holding that for 9 days for 40 cents. But I'll set an alarm 134.80. That was a buy setup that triggered yesterday. That would also be a great put spread, 1.25 if there's any juice. A number of these Bitcoin stocks are bouncing. This is one of them. Rig T. Well, that's quantum computing, but it's a breakout from a bottoming pattern. Just plain and simple. And look at the nice closing 15-minute base. LSCC, nice turn here after the earnings gap has a void. And Roblex, bottoming pattern. I like this 1, 2, 3 retest. Looks like that can go to the 50. Now to earnings. The video just turned red. Look at that. Look at that. I wonder why. So that's down $4 off the pre-market high. That's going to move SMH, AMD. Looks like that. If this comes in and gives us a controlled buy setup into the gap area, that will be a nice directional. It's had an alarm on Munster go off. We're long this in trail mode. Let me reset the alarms higher. 86.25. This was a target, 85.85 for a third. And okay, cool. So that's why it went off. Sell 1/3 Munster 85.90. 30. And I'm running out of time here, but if you all have any earnings or did I mess up CNK? Yeah, CNK over 26.20. Thanks. Thank you, sir. And you, big old mess, 16 bucks. 30-minute low. It could fall to the 200. Joby, the helicopter cars. You know what? It's gapping over yesterday's high. That could be a 30-minute high trade. Up there. Iowa and Q, gap in the 38 and change. That's a big gap, but a put spread on a pullback. Yeah, when I went through these yesterday, all like 3 or 4 Canadian banks all look good. So TD, cream turned positive. It was negative. So that's a put spread idea, cream. That's a bottoming pattern with a new low reversal on volume. Snow retest, bullish 15, put spread pattern, not directional because you got a ton of resistance there. TWFG alarm, Climo, up alarm just went off. TWFG. Harry is a mess. Overlapping bars, gapping down a lot though. But I got plenty to watch. MTNX 41 and change, so it's $5 off the pre-market high. But let's watch that for a bottoming pattern, put spread. SMCI, it's a bottoming pattern. You know, you got no pattern yet, Stephen, but other than I would love a put spread. Today's low. I mean, yesterday's low, of course. So if you want to check the premium, that's a great candidate for it. Let me open up TOS on the big computer here. Dash. Yeah, that's a double bottom. Yeah, it'd be better if, if this were fluid. But yeah, that'd be a great put spread. 30-minute high directional. I don't think it's gonna take out this prior high though. You got a big old rejection there. But day trade, I like the 15 day trade. All right, and then put spread the 165. Today's Thursday, so we would be doing a 1 day. All right, this looks great. Let's check the premium at the open. Um, it shows it a debit. It's showing me a debit of 56 cents, which is only humanly possible because of the spreads. But now we can set a 5-minute high alarm. All right, so yeah, NVDA and Qs are having a little pullback tantrum. Google, I just glanced up at at my fangs. Google is having a little tantrum too. So I'll get rid of postage dash here. And I will set an alarm 174. Yeah, it is a double bottom. It's not a perfect one because of, I would want that fluid momentum all the way down. Pelletier up alarm. Diamonds are on their own page today. Diamonds gapped up and holding. The other 3 horsemen are ugly 5-minute retracements. So dash the midpoint now, it's only 23 cents. But I don't know if I trust that going out the next week. Riven up alarm. We did a half lot yesterday. Look at this Joby I mentioned, middle chart. Gapping over a red bar, bottoming pattern with a void. I'd say that has potential up to 12 bucks. But I'm not chasing here. Just extended, ran alone. All right, ribbon alarm. I'll reset it. We only have a half lot, so we got to determine where to get in the back half. Maybe 30-minute high, but definitely over yesterday's high. All right, other alarms, T and L. That was, yeah, bullish consolidation, but no entry here. 65.